Do you want to be made well? Such a simple question, but a very important one when you are starting your healing journey. Some people might easily just say yes to that question, but have some resistance when it comes to getting better. And if you are experiencing some resistance, maybe you need to go back to that question and ask yourself, do I want to be made well? Or am I comfortable in the situation that I am in? Welcome, everybody, to the Ease Your Mind podcast. My name is Christina Adrian. I'm a licensed mental health counselor, licensed professional counselor, and I help overwhelmed Christians break free from anxiety, fear, and shame by showing them how the Bible speaks directly to their mental health. Here in this channel, I will dig into every psychological tool I have found in the Bible that aligns with different psychological modalities that I have used and learned as a therapist. I have been a therapist for about 8 years now and a believer for about 25 years. I plan to provide as much information as I can about the Bible and how it speaks to our mental health, and provide information about transforming our mind, caring for our future self, spiritual warfare, and therapy modalities such as cognitive behavioral therapy and schema therapy. Today, I would like to talk about one of the important things that is needed to help get people better. They need to make a choice, and they have to mean it. Obviously, there's more to it than that, but if you do not make this choice and remain resistant, there isn't much anybody else can do for you. Do you want to get well? This is a question Jesus asked a man who was ill, a question that many times in life we all may think about when dealing with ourselves or with other people. As a therapist, this is a question that sometimes runs through my mind, and sometimes I would even ask clients, are you ready and do you want to be made well? This may seem obvious, but it is a very important question before anything can change, happen, or for you to be able to heal mentally, physically, or spiritually. You have to have a yes to this question. Some may roll their eyes and say, well, of course people want to get well. Of course people want to be better. But not necessarily. Some people are comfortable in their illness, their misery, and discomfort. They would never say that out loud because they know that it probably doesn't make sense or they shouldn't stay there. But their behavior says it all the time. Their behavior and attitude may say something completely different. If we make so many excuses, it will inevitably cause those around us to question and ask, do you want to be made well? If you're thinking about going to therapy, one thing to remember, it is not your therapist's job to fix you. Many come to therapy with this misconception. They will not change you either. They are a vehicle of change, but you must drive the car. Therapists, pastors, ministers, mentors, and even loved ones can give you the tools, advice, and know-how, but if you have made up in your mind that it is too hard, what's the point? It is hopeless, then you will get nowhere. Your mindset will have kept you at park and you will never drive out of your situation. Some people like to say, if you know better, you will do better. But I don't think the saying is always true because a lot of people know what to do to get better. And not only that, in this day and age, we live with so much information just at our fingertips. We have information of how to get out of debt, how to better our finances. We can educate ourselves on how to start a business. We can educate ourselves on how to fix a car. There's so many different information out there and so many know-hows, but however, people are still not doing better. And that's because the execution is always much harder than the know-how. The minute your mindset shifts to one of hope, possibility, growth, and willingness to try no matter what is when you will see change. Now, all the help and the resources that you have received can now be utilized and it will start to make sense to you. So it all starts still with a choice. Do you want to be made well? So the scripture that I would like to go to today is John chapter 5, verse 1 to 14. Now, this is a longer one than I usually read, so don't fall asleep on me. Actually, I would encourage you to follow along with me. Anytime you're watching or listening to things such as these, I would encourage you to read your Bible along and don't just take anybody's words for it. So let's turn to John chapter 5. And it reads, after this, there was a festival of the Jews, and Jesus went up to Jerusalem. Now in Jerusalem by the sheep gate, there is a pool called in Hebrew Bethsaida, which has 5 porticos. In these lay many ill, blind, lame, and paralyzed people. One man was there who had been ill for 38 years. When Jesus saw him lying there and knew that he had been there for a long time, he said to him, do you want to be made well? The ill man answered him, sir, I have no one to put me into the pool when the water is stirred up. And while I am making my way, someone else steps down ahead of me. Jesus said to him, stand up, take your mat, and walk. At once the man was made well, and he took up his mat and began to walk. Here, Jesus is telling this, first starts out with Jesus running into this, or walking into, somehow he met up with this man during the festival at a pool called Bethsaida. And when Jesus asked this man the question, his answer back to Jesus may seem valid, but can also be seen as an excuse. Because in verse 7, he says he has no one to help him, or while making his way, many get ahead of him. Now, the visual that you usually see if you watch a movie on the story of Jesus and this scene is part of it, is what you usually see is this man moving very slowly. He cannot get to the pool on time once it's stirred, and everyone else is getting there much faster and running there faster than him and are getting healed, but he is not. And of course, this is happening because he was sick, and most likely he couldn't move very fast to get into the pool. However, John lets us know that many there were invalid, lame, and paralyzed. So technically, no one could move that fast. And it seemed like it was very slim for anyone to find someone to help them get in there, because during those times, people who were disabled and people such as these were often ignored. Therefore, all the other disabled people there were busy trying to help themselves. So my point is that all the other people there didn't seem to have had an advantage over him when it came to making it into the pool. Most, if not all, of the others would be moving just as slowly as he was. If this was the case, why hasn't he made it in there? But others did. Jesus then says in verse 8 and 9, "Get up, pick up your mat, and walk." At once the man was cured. He picked up his mat and walked. This also amazed me how the guy did what Jesus said immediately. He did not ask any questions. He just got up and walked. And this is how we should respond when we are given the tools we need to get well. Instead, we like to ask 21 questions. Well, how, God? Are you sure? I don't think I can. You really think I'm ready? What if I fail? What if I succeed? Why should I bother doing this? Now, what Jesus did for this man was in fact a miracle. Also, I like to think that at this moment, this man had a mindset shift. And when Jesus said to get up, his excuses went away. I think all of humanity can see themselves in this story. Many are metaphorically or internally like invalid, lame, and paralyzed. We are paralyzed in the same bad relationships. We are paralyzed in the dead-end jobs that we hate. We are paralyzed in other bad situations that we refuse to work ourselves out of. We are paralyzed in our analysis paralysis and can't make decisions in order to better ourselves. Many of us are metaphorically paralyzed in so many different ways. And we are looking towards a pool, or in today's time, looking to alcohol, drugs, meaningless sexual relationships, looking to our jobs, looking to the club, material things, money, people, expecting these things to heal us and take our pain away, but it doesn't. You will only find true rest in Jesus. We will find rest when we choose to take on the responsibility of life, embrace the suffering, and not run away from it, because you can't. We try to run many times and end up suffering anyway. You may ask, how does one find rest in suffering? You only do when you embrace it and give that burden to Jesus, who can carry it. When Jesus said that my yoke is easy and my burden is light, do you believe him? Do you believe that if you give him your burdens, that he will make it light for you in exchange? And when I say suffering, I do want to be mindful that there are many sufferings that people go through we do not have control over. Those are not the type of sufferings that I'm talking about. I'm talking about the things we do have control over. And this is why we should do everything we can with the sufferings that we have control over, because there are going to be sufferings we can't do anything about. So now when you pile on the things you can't control with the things that you refuse to do and take care of, that just creates more and more problems of suffering. So when it comes to the things that we can do something about, the things that we do have responsibility over. And the reason why I call them suffering is because many times those things that we can't take responsibility for is going to be work. And sometimes it's going to feel like suffering. For example, if someone went through a traumatic experience and they have to work through their trauma, it's very common for a person after they go through trauma to want to avoid the trauma because it feels very painful to talk about it, to think about it, and to go through it. However, it's usually making it worse the more that you avoid it. So you can either choose to go through the pain of talking about it through therapy with a professional, talking about it, trying to heal, trying to get better, and working through that pain that is going to take to get to the other side. So it's going to feel like suffering because many times when we're doing this type of work, it always gets worse before it gets better. And the reason why we say it gets worse before it gets better is because now that you're unpacking all these things, all these emotions are coming back even more intensely. Your body's feeling it more intensely. Not that you probably weren't before. People who are traumatized are probably always feeling this. But however, when they really focus on it even more, it can feel like it's worse. So usually there's, once again, the desire to avoid it. But if you're willing to choose to go through that suffering of working through the trauma pains that are now in your body and in your mind, you can get better and be better on the other side. But you have to choose to go through that suffering to be better on the other side. And if you don't choose it, then unfortunately you would have to continue living life with all these external things that you cannot control constantly triggering you and constantly putting you in a state where you are emotionally dysregulated and not being able to live your life with full joy and peace. Psychology has shown that those who voluntarily go through suffering will come out stronger and more resilient on the other side. Those who just let suffering happen to them can come out weaker and more miserable. Les Brown once said, "If you choose to do the hard things, your life will be easy. If you choose to do what is easy, your life will be hard. So choose what is hard. Choose your suffering, get well, and stop letting life just happen to you. Some of you may not have found your deliverance yet because Jesus is probably asking you the same question. Do you want to be made well? Do you? Ask yourself that question and know that if the answer is yes, there is work to be done on the other side, but it will be worth it. Ask yourself, what decisions have you been avoiding? What decisions do you need to make? What truth do you need to deal with? These decisions can be the factor in you getting well and progressing or moving backwards. I don't usually believe in people being neutral. It is either you are progressing and moving forward or you're moving backward, one or the other. And if you struggle in this area, I have a free simple thought journal to help you get started on being aware and taking note of your self-talk that is unhelpful for you. You can take note of it in the journal, write down your notes, write down how it's affecting your emotions and how it's affecting your behavior. Click the link below and it will be sent straight to your inbox. If you enjoyed this content, like the video below, subscribe to my channel where you will get weekly info and tips on your faith and mental health. Share this video with someone you think it may help or leave a comment below. Do you think I'm making this too simple and it's not just a matter of choice? I would love to hear what you think. And until next time, take care.